hear you.
AM 970 WSTX. Views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views or opinions of WSTX, its owners, advertisers, employees, or management. Email us your comments at WSTX@VIRadio.com. AM 970 WSTX. It's AM Wednesday with Around It. It's your host, Pikey, Copemann.
Good morning, good morning. Good morning to St. Croix. Good morning to the Virgin Islands. Good morning to the Caribbean. Good morning to the world.
Oh, the court.
Yeah. Yes, good morning and welcome to another Friday morning gathering of Around the Table here with your host, Pikey, Copemann. And we're here on WSTX AM 970 on your radio dial. And here on, don't forget that we're streaming live. If you have a computer online and hook up online, you can hear us streaming live online. Yes, and here around the table we deal with history, we deal with culture, and sometimes we even touch on some of the social issues that directly affect our community, and that's because we believe that knowledge is power. Yes, knowledge put to the proper use is power. When you have power, you have the ability to control and direct your life. So, in that light, we want to welcome you, invite you to join us around the table, some lively discussion. And hey, if you're just joining us, you're still in time. Yes, you're still in time. So join us around the table. We're here on WSTX AM 970. Yes. And time in our studios right now is about 14 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. Yes. And you can give us a call to express your opinion, call to share some piece of knowledge here with us, or call to make us aware of something out there in the community we're not aware of. And the numbers to call are 773-0390 and 773-0490. Those are telephone numbers once again are 773-0390 and 773-0490. And please don't forget, for those of you who are calling from outside of the Virgin Islands, you will need to use the 340 area code in order to get through. Yes. Once again, time in our studios now is 15 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. And without any further ado, we are going to call on the legendary one, and he's going to tell us all about the morning time. Here he is, King Solomon.
Everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain side. They come from mountain, they come from mountain side. Wake up this beautiful morning, enjoy the freshness of the breeze, into the beautiful garden. Tell me what the banana trees, I hear they talk for morning time. Everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain side. They come from mountain, they come from mountain side. Tell me you're going to leave me now. Start up around. Now you have dresses of all kind, gold bangles on your hand, in new fashion, can. Yes, you're feeling grand. You're going back to the old man, but remember, morning time. Everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain side.
They could get any of the my tunes.
Wake up.
Here we go.
Everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain side. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, from mountain.
Oh yes, they always come from mountainside. That's the legendary ones. King Solomon at the morning time. Yes. And folks, yes, once again, for those who might be listening via the internet or streaming, because we are streaming live, we are still having problems with equipment here. So you will not hear us over the radio. You will not hear us broadcasting live over the radio, but we on the stream. So if you have your computer handy, your laptop, and you can hear us live on the stream. Yes, and so I'll begin with my daily readings of the great wisdom teachings that come from our ancestors. Yes, and then later on we are going to read a little history on the local Virgin Islands Democratic Party and some of the history and some of the melee that went on with these political parties basically in the early 1960s. So stay tuned for that. Right now, we're going to get into reading our wisdom teaching, adages and axioms. Ethical teachings come from our ancient ancestors. And we begin. When a man teaches, he speaks to the future. When a man teaches, he speaks to the future. Speak ma'at, do ma'at. Speak ma'at and do ma'at. We know that ma'at is the ancient symbol for truth, right, and justice. Truth, right, and justice. And to these we may add balance, harmony, and reciprocity. Balance, harmony, and reciprocity. These are the values that Ma'at represents. Ma'at stands for, and Ma'at is usually depicted as the goddess with a feather sticking out of her hair, the feather of truth. Strive for excellence in all you do so that no fault can be found in your character. Strive for excellence in all you do so that no fault can be found in your character. It is in the development of character that instruction succeeds. It is in the development of character that instruction succeeds. Do ma'at that you might live long upon the earth. Do ma'at that you might live long upon the earth. Ma'at is that which endures and raises a person and a people up. Ma'at is that which endures and raises a person and a people up. Sweeter is the water of one who has given than the wine of one who has received. Sweeter is the water of one who has given than the wine of one who has received. Do to the doer that he may also do. Do to the doer that he may also do. Let your generosity reach one who needs it. Let your generosity reach one who needs it. It is not food or wealth which sustains a people and a community. It is righteousness. It is not food or wealth which sustains a people and a community. It is righteousness. When character is lost, all is lost. When character is lost, all is lost. The ruin of a nation begins in the homes of its people. The ruin of a nation begins in the homes of its people. And those are some of the wisdom teachings, wise adages that come from our ancient ancestors. And before I go into my little reading on some of the history of the local Democratic Party, and I'm talking about the Virgin Islands Democratic Party. I am not talking about the National Party. And many times I've tried to explain to people, I've been in conversations with many, especially younger people, I've tried to explain to them that the local Democratic Party or the Virgin Islands Democratic Party is not the same as the National Democratic Party on the mainland. They are not the same. Most people take it for granted or believe that both organizations are the same, but they are not. The only thing they have in common is the name. That is the only thing that they really share in common, is the name. So while I'm reading and I'm speaking about the Democratic Party, I'm speaking about the local Democratic Party, Virgin Islands Democratic Party. That's the topic today, not the National Party on the mainland, National Democratic Party on the mainland. And I just wanted to make that distinction, show that difference, so that to avoid any confusion or any mix-up. And I'm going to be reading from a book entitled America's Virgin Islands, A History of Human Rights and Wrongs. This is the second edition, and it was written by one William Boyer. Yes, William Boyer wrote this book, and he did a lot of research. He was here in the Virgin Islands, and he spoke to many people, many Virgin Islanders, those prominent in politics and in other areas. And so the book is well researched, well written and well researched. Okay. And this is a section of the book that is dealing with this chapter is called The Development Decade. And the section that we're reading is Donkey Crops and Unicrops. And I will start with my reading. Oh, well, before we get to the reading, yes, I have a caller online, so let me just go and deal with this caller online before I really forget. Yeah. Yes, good morning, caller, and welcome.
Good Friday morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning to you, Mr. Nibs. How you doing, man?
Good. I heard you say, I tuned in when I heard you say, do math. Well, that's all I want to hear. Me want to hear nothing else.
Yes, and let me just say that Miss Dowling is supposed to come by today and bring the books.
Okay.
Okay, so if I get them, then I just need to make contact with your brother.
Yeah.
I just have to make contact with him.
Yeah, I need to get one, and I'm going to call my brother as soon as I get off and let him contact you and leave the money for you, even if you leave it at the station.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, that's good, man.
Good, man.
So,
Thanks for that.
Yes, man. So how you doing?
Well, kind of wet this morning as I've been for the past couple of days.
Not to cut you off, but I think I did saw in the news where there was some flooding in parts of Texas there.
The entire state, really.
Oh, actually, the entire state. Okay.
Yeah, it's a place called, they call it, what did they call it? Flood Alley for Texas Hill Country. You talk for water. It's like, some of them say that like Jesus turn on is bigger than if you get to turn it down.
What is this?
You talk for it. So, of course, since I have a home there and all my children, great-grand today, I decided to go out there as a FEMA reservist to see what I could help and do.
Okay.
Yeah, but it ain't easy, my son. I mean, every time you think it's holding up, only then it busts open again.
Wow.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And they got tornadoes coming with it. And, I mean, it's just a mess. Something like overkill, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It ain't easy.
Well, my son.
But hey, we can't give up. We just got to walk. We got to deal with it.
Well, Mother Nature Mother Nature reacting to the man in the White House, my son, because he got his own disaster and flood going there, my son. I mean, the things that he trying to get done and what he is doing in the name of trying to fix the election system and have fair and equal elections and all this kind of nonsense he's talking about. But I mean, underneath it, I don't know how foolish some people could be. So, but underneath it, I mean, it's plain to see the real intent and what he has in mind and what he's really doing.
Right. And the thing is this, like I say, a guy like Trump feeds off of negativism and feeds off of people boosting him up. I mean, to have 43 million followers, even though they say he lost about 5 million of them. I heard a congresswoman come on the campaigning for re-election, but she was a Trumpite from the beginning, and she has no intention of stopping. Her anthem is that the man can do no wrong.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But, they don't realize it got a body bigger than them there. It's just that he don't walk around with the ball, but I mean, beating you with it. And the guy one time he was trying to beat you with it. You see?
Mm-hmm.
And look what is up now. You talk about looking to fetch you wrong with the election. Trump is so worried that he's going to be leaving the White House. Should I say the Black House? He needs to get out of it. And he's so scared that he has riled up so much of the Republicans.
Well, the thing is that he is trying to build up, the Republican support in the Congress and other places to try to avoid impeachment because he knows if we get
The numbers.
to get the numbers, yes, we get a majority of Democrats in the Congress, they're going to impeach him. Yes, he knows
But
that.
not only that, he's going to be charged with a lot of wrongdoing. About 43 counts of stuff.
Well, I mean, it's plain to see. I mean, look at what they accuse former President Biden of doing all kind of crookedness to helping his son, all right? Yet and still he got a law passed, and it's because of people, his supporters. He got a law passed that his children can be charged with any kind of anything to do with income tax and all this type of stuff. I mean,
Exactly.
I mean, come on, what kind of thing is this? I mean, the president of the United States doing this kind of thing. I mean, it's plain to see what he's doing, but unfortunately, you have those who defend it. Now, and then again, the other issue, this cryptocurrency thing.
Oh Lord.
He and his sons, his family, made millions from this thing, while other investors failed and lost.
Pikey, hold it. I never know you to be a mathematician, but the last thing I heard up to last night was this new term that Trump is in. There's $6 billion in Bitcoin, Rich. Yes, billion.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, overall, he yes, he mean, and yes, and you're right. I'm not a mathematician. Math was not my strong point at all in school, and it still isn't. But the little bit that I've heard and I could understand, I mean, just with the cryptocurrency issue, he and his family made millions or billions from this thing, while other people failed, other people lost. I mean, and it just seems to me that how are these other investors, people who followed him, who were encouraged by him to get into this thing, they lost, but he gained.
A lot of that came about because of inside trading information.
Mm-hmm. But it's just so strange that while these people lost, he gained.
That's why he did.
Boy, I tell you, hey, something like this man turning this whole country upside down, son. And people just can't see it.
The whole wall.
Well, and then again, if we're talking about the wall now, lately, just this morning, I just heard in the news where he's again criticizing and alleging that Russia and China are meddling in the elections and meddling in affairs and all this type of thing. But then just a few short months ago, he and these people were buddy. He went to meet with Putin up there in Alaska or something.
Yeah.
All right, and then did he go to China and meet with Xi Jinping? Just a few short months ago, he and all these people were buddies, man. They were tight.
Well, you see what happened with him, and I think the thing that have tripped him up is that he used to continue to say spread out red carpet for the boy Putin and all of that. And one time he said publicly to Putin, what it says, he said, we are friends. And Putin told him, but no, we are not friends. You are president of one country, I'm president of the next. We are friends. And with Ukraine, the more Trump started to think he had Putin under control to stop raining bomb on Ukraine, every time Trump opened him out, he rained more bomb on them again. So he's in a lot of trouble. And then he takes Britain and China and them was with him, and now he finds out he's standing alone. So he didn't bear the trouble. So if the Republic, and then look what's happening on top of that, and this is where I started to say God has walked in mysterious ways. Two of his strong men in the Congress, who was one then Mitch McConnell, he put aside and not even want to say the truth about what is wrong with him. They're afraid to say that he's brain dead. The other fella,
up to now, we don't know. Up to now, we don't really know what's wrong with him.
Exactly. The other one was dying the other day. What his name is again?
Oh, Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
They said that his what you call, it's like he had an explosion inside. He had the pressure was so high, it burst the main artery. Burst it, blow it up.
Well, I remember a couple of years ago, you know.
The man there now and God, so you can't get up. As I told Lindsay, his pressure is high. How you know his pressure high? You tested? I told him you got to go to the doctor. Nonsense.
You know,
Lindsay wouldn't rest. He up and down. He just came back from overseas.
yeah.
And he had, the man don't take no rest. Politics is in his blood so much. He don't want no rest.
You know, okay. what was amazing to me is that, and they brought. I was kind of surprised that they brought it back up again, because they didn't really pay much attention to it at the time when it happened. But you remember a few years back when these people stormed the Capitol and whatnot.
Yes.
Yes. Well, you know, right on the heels of that, you know, Lindsey Graham got up there in Congress and said, I am done. I am through with it. Enough is enough. I'm done with that. Yeah. When he saw what was going on, man, he backpedaled from that thing in a minute. But then about the next day or two, the man jumped on the Trump bandwagon again, man. He was in with Trump again, mister. So, hey, these fellows, you never know, man. These, you know, you never know with these fellows.
As we saying, I mean, even for the local situation back home, where we have a guy that is so much worse telling you that he's not a governor, he's a dictator and a king. And if God don't step in, this is what I say now that I'm going to go. If God don't step in the national situation and local, it has to happen this time. And this is what people like Leo and Karen and everybody else, you, Malabon, we have to be the one to do it. No voters, no fellows, Rasta, whoever you pay. Get up and vote these contracts out. It must happen now, or this is Nirvana. It's the end. Okay? So we're going to keep our weather eye lifted, and somebody used to say, we're going to see what happens. I'm going to continue to listen.
Okay. Just so you could know that we're still having some problems, and we're not on the air. So,
you're not on the air.
No, but we streaming. So, which is good for you, because you're there in Texas. So
right.
That's So you will be able to hear the stream. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, man. Good. Take care now.
Later. Bye.
Yes. Bye. Yes, folks, and let me get to my reading about a little history here concerning the Donkeycrats and the Unicrats. Governor Paiwanski's effectiveness in winning consistent support for his policies and proposals from a pliant legislature, including generous endorsements for Harvey and Hess, was attributable to the alliance he formed with Senator Earl Attlee, leader of the so-called Unity Party, which assured predictable majority votes of the legislature. The Paiwanski-Attlee alliance during most of the 1960s represented an unprecedented and unparalleled period of executive legislative cooperation in the history of America's Virgin Islands. It was a painfully procured and sustained alliance. However, because it split the Democratic Party, fostered a vituperative opposition, and presaged political realignments that were to change the insular political system. From the inception of American rule, the heavy weight of Washington-based bureaucratic power had deterred and delayed the maturation of extra bureaucratic political institutions in the islands, including the legislature and political parties. This familiar legacy of colonialism, of course, would be experienced by most developing countries emerging from colonial status after the Second World War. During Navy rule of the islands, local political clubs were formed to agitate for self-government, and these clubs gained strength as nascent political parties after the 1936 Organic Act broadened the suffrage. These parties, however, were virtually private clubs with dues-paying members, something akin to an embryonic two-party system had emerged during the 1950s in the formation of two factions of the Democratic Party. The Unity Democrats, or Unicrats, under the leadership of Senator Earl B. Attlee, with the martyr and pestle as its symbol, and the Donkey Democrats, also known as the Donkey Crats. After enactment of the 1954 Revised Organic Act and a unified legislature, control of the legislature had vacillated between a coalition of Donkeycrats and Republicans on one side and Unicrats on the other side, with a few independents switching between the two factions. The strength of the Donkeycrats was in St. Croix and of the Unicrats in St. Thomas, a distinction that both reflected and sharpened the historic rivalry between the two islands. Meanwhile, Ralph Pywanski, identified with the Donkeycrat faction, had served from 1940 to 1960 as the territory's representative on the Democratic National Committee, only to be defeated for that post by Crucian Donkeycrat Ron DeLugo in 1960, a defeat that Pywanski never forgave, despite DeLugo's strong endorsement of Pywanski for the governorship during his Senate confirmation hearings in 1961. As a result of the 1962 election, the legislature in 1963 comprised a narrow 6-5 working majority for the Unicrats. Governor Pywanski's decision to align himself with the Unicrat leader Attlee set the stage for the Unicrats' attempt to take over control of the Democratic Party. The Pywanski-Attlee alliance succeeded in taking control of the Democratic Party through a series of extraordinarily convoluted and highly dubious moves, including 1. Adoption of a new election code, 2. Stripping Government Secretary Cyril King of his powers, 3. Expropriation of the Democratic Party label, 4. Adoption of a controversial loyalty oath, 5. Swelling the number of government employees loyal to the Pywanski-Attlee alliance, 6. Declassification and dismissal of disloyal employees and intimidation of others, 7. Open violation of the Hatch Acts, and 8. The practice of election irregularities, All of these practices were fully documented in the 737 pages of the 1967 congressional hearings. The Election Code of 1963 provided for the legal recognition of political parties through nominations by primary elections in place of conventions. Granted each registered voter the privilege to enroll in a political party, and provided for the election of territorial committees by party members. Administration of the election machinery was vested in a new supervisor of elections, appointed by Pywanski and approved by the Unicrat-controlled legislature, a power previously vested in the government secretary. So we can see here, right? We can see right here from the very beginnings, a lot of skullduggery and a lot of shenanigans were being concocted, were being planned and being done right under the noses of the people of the Virgin Islands without most of us being the wiser. Well, in all honesty, without wanting to insult anybody's intelligence, but in 1960, 61, 62, the Virgin Islands population was not as politically aware, politically educated, or politically intelligent as they would be today. And so politicians were able to do a lot of things back then without the people really grasping the idea, grasping what was really happening. Because the Virgin Islands population as a whole was not as politically astute as they are today. Some people would want to deny that because they were born and come up in a time when there's much more political awareness going on today, much more political intelligence today, and they assume that it was like that all the time, but it was not like that all the time, as we can see here. And all you have to do is just start with some of the older folks who are still alive, and you will see that it was not like that all the time. All right. Cyril King obviously was being punished for his continued loyalty to the Donkeycrat faction. So they took away the whole election machinery from the government secretary. And who was the government secretary at the time? The government secretary was the old name that they used for the lieutenant governor. And at that time, it was Cyril Emmanuel King. And it was the lieutenant governor who was over the election machinery and had, a lot of powers vested in that office. Well, with the new scheme of things that was concocted by Pywanski and Attlee, they took away that power from the government secretary, who at the time was Cyril King. As it says here, Cyril King obviously was being punished for his continued loyalty to the Donkeycrat faction. Other powers removed from King by the machine included his authority over the Division of Personnel in 1962, the Industrial Incentive Program in 1965, the Board of Tax Review in 1966, and the Division of Licensing and Business Occupations in 1967. All of these powers were removed from the authority of the government secretary. At the time, it was the late Cyril King. And as Mr. Boyer stated, obviously he was being punished for his continued loyalty to the Donkeycrat faction. Under the new election code, the Unicrat leaders formally dissolved the Unity Party when they filed a petition signed by 165 voters with the supervisor of elections registering the Unity Party under the name of the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. That was done, well, that was blatant, yeah? That was really blatant. I mean, hey, they just took it. They just took control of it, man. And the new supervisor of elections registered the Unity Party, not under the Unity Party, but under the new name of the Democratic Party, which started a whole rivalry now, a whole fight for who was going to control that name. Although the Democrats had already filed under the Democratic Party label with the supervisor, and the election code required the supervisor to hold a hearing in such a situation to determine which position shall be accepted, Supervisor Henrietta Tadman refused to hold such a hearing. The result was that candidates of both factions contested for election to the Territorial Committee of the Democratic Party, with Unicrats winning 16 seats, 12 at large and 4 from St. Thomas, and the Donkeycrats winning the remaining 6 from St. Croix and from St. John. So we could see in this whole mess and this whole rivalry and competitive arena here, St. Croix and St. John were basically together, were holding one head, whereas St. Thomas was apart. And you know, and all of this could show you why it these comes up to recent time. It shows you the roots of our going on in these modern times now, where St. John was made a part of the St. Thomas voting district instead of being a district on its own, how it was originally intended to be. The politicians changed that around in order to gain the upper hand. Boy, I tell you, my son, there's a lot of skullduggery. Just these few words just show you a lot of the skullduggery, the shenanigans that went on with these people, my son. Oh my God, I tell you. Donkeycrats brought a suit against Supervisor Tadman in the District Court of the Virgin Islands, charging that the Unicrats had unlawfully taken over the Democratic Party. The immediate ensuing events after election of the Territorial Committee were recited by the court as follows. The election for the Territorial Committee was held on November 1st, 1963. But at the first meeting, the 6 members of the plaintiff refused to sit at the meeting. As a result thereof, the 6 members of the Unity Party who were defeated in the primary election took their places with the remaining 16 members of the Unity Party to comprise the Territorial Committee of the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands, which had been wrongfully certified by the supervisor of elections. So the plaintiff was the Donkeycrats. They had brought a suit against Supervisor Tadman. Okay, but as they stated here, the first meeting of the Territorial Committee, the 6 members of the original Democratic Party, or the Donkeycrats, they refused to sit at the meeting. And as a result of their refusing to sit at the meeting, the 6 members of the Unity Party who had actually lost in the primary, they took their places. They took the place of the original 6. And added together with the remaining 16 of the Unity Party. The 22 members who were nominated by the plaintiff to the Territorial Committee then proceeded to hold meetings, and at all times thereafter considered themselves as the governing body of the Democratic Party. At no time was there communication between the plaintiff and the Unity Party. Neither group invited the other group to join and participate in the opposing group's activities. Each group at all times considered itself a separate and distinct entity. To further its scheme to take over the plaintiff's party, the Unity Party, through the wrongfully constituted Territorial Committee, drafted certain rules and procedures. Included in these rules was a provision which abolished all democratic clubs. Other rules were promulgated which stated that no group could form a club in the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands unless approved by the Territorial Committee. This clever device would expel all members of the plaintiff from its clubs and would complete the takeover by the Unity Party of the plaintiff. It's amazing, man. I mean, all this shenanigans, all these things. Yes, they set up new rules and procedures to solidify their grip, to strengthen their grip on taking over the Democratic Party. Departing from the usual practice of American jurists of stating the facts of a case objectively, District Judge Walter Gordon set forth the facts in this case in a manner obviously prejudicial to the Unicrats. 6 years beforehand, he had resigned the governorship after Unicrat leader Ackley led 3,000 demonstrators calling for his removal because of his incompetence. Apparently, it did not occur now to Gordon to disqualify himself from hearing this case for reasons of bias against the Unicrats. Concluding that the Unity Party, through a fraudulent, collusive, and conspiratorial scheme, took over the Democratic Party, Judge Gordon enjoined the Unicrats from continuing as members of the Territorial Committee and ordered Supervisor of Election Henrietta Tadman to certify the Donkeycrat nominees as the only valid Territorial Committee of the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. Let me just take a little break here and get to the phone lines. Good morning, caller, and welcome.
Yeah, Pikey, I hear you doing some heavy verbiage.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. That's back in the day, son. Let me tell you.
Yes, this is all the 1960s here, man. All the 1960s. I was a young fellow, wasn't even aware of all this kind of thing going on. I just could remember hearing my parents and grandparents talking little things around the house, but never had any idea of all these kind of things that were happening. Yeah.
You see, back in those days, they used to have one neighborhood rallies.
Yes.
The two places in Savannah, particularly, Barnabawella, and also by the Market Square there, Rothschild
Francis Square. Yeah, listen, Mr. Nibs, hold on for a couple of minutes. Then we do a station break and we're coming right back to you. Okay?
Yeah, okay, sir. Okay. All right.
Yes, folks. Oh, I always forget my home.
Stand up for your community. Stand up for your future. Stand up for Virgin Islands. WSTX FM 100. The soul of the region. Find us on the World Wide Web at www.wstxradio.com. WSTX AM and FM stream all conscious reggae and Virgin Islands news, talk, calypso, and holiday 24/7, 365 on www.wstxradio.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. WSTX, the soul of Caribbean. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Dad.
You should tell people that if they want their sales to increase and their business to succeed, they should advertise on WSTX AM and FM.
That's a great idea. I got the perfect way to say it. Give me a second to organize my thoughts. Hey, everybody. If you want your sales to increase and your business to succeed, you should advertise at WSTX AM and FM.
Pretty good, Jeff.
Thanks, Dad. For more information, email us at wstxradio@gmail.com or call us at our new number at 340-422-9789. That's 340-422-WSTX.
As a veteran, I have extraordinary admiration and respect for those who dedicate their lives to public service to the community and to our territory. At the same time, we must recognize that our politics, our government, and our institutions have too often failed us, the people, culminated in this moment of crisis. Healthcare, water, infrastructure, schools. As we look ahead, we must be willing to pursue change through different methods and different thinking, committed to our same values and principles, all while offering practical solutions as we manage our future for effective governance. I know Kurt Daly will fight fearlessly for our island and for this territory. He believes in the betterment of our people, fairness and dignity of all. Vote to re-elect Senator Kurt Daly to remain in the fight for all of us. Early voting takes place on July 20th to the 29th, and primary election is on August 1st. Vote number 5, Kurt Daly.
Paid for by Friends of Kurt BLA to the Senate. For more continuous music variety, AM 970 WSTX. The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views or opinions of WSTX, its owners, advertisers, employees, or management. Email us your comments at WSTX@theadradio.com.
Here we go. Nibs online too, right here.
Oh. Yes, Mr. Nibs, you there?
Yo, yeah, right there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. No, what I was saying is that from a very youngster, 10, 11 years old, I have become, I'm sorry, interested in politics because of the neighborhood rallies they used to have.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
And of course, seeing people like Albie Hartley, who was born in Savannah,
Mm-hmm.
who became attorney John Maduro, born in Savannah, who became, Lucinda Millen, born in Savannah. I mean, and all these other people, you know, that I knowing from a child, I like to listen to them talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be there, and I always think I want to be like them. I want to be like them. And, you know, as I grow into it in my teens, I went and spoke with Albie. And of course, he was aware that you'll be surprised how much those folks know. You know, compute and all of this. He knows that I was a strong Cherokee man. He knows that. And to his credit, he never tried to dissuade me from going that road as some others have done, to include Alex Starley. If you, he said, Alex Starley was to me like, Nate, he didn't say Nate, he said, Fanso, you're a wily campaigner. We need you, meaning the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would change your registration from ICM to Democrat, you could keep the executive director job at the Housing Authority. It was a big federal job at the time. And, you know, he was paid more than commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, sir, thanks and no thanks. So then he said, you know what you got to do? I say, no, I go in home and just have my grant, my God. So, but the thing is this, I mean, some of those forebearers who really made the way, and you mentioned a while ago, the position of government secretary
Mm-hmm.
that became afterwards the lieutenant governor position.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it takes my mind back to when Randy Lobo, who, even though is a member of the Lobo family, some that I know very well and have been friends with. He himself was not born in the Virgin Islands. He was born, I think, up in Tenet, New Jersey, or somewhere up in there.
Mm-hmm.
But he always tried to fool people and come down with his tag for mango juice and say he's a crucial.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, one time I had a bossy bubble because I was in houses and I was acting commissioner at the time, and I had to be in DC to go before committees to look for funding. And Governor King happened to be in DC at the same time. So he was there and I was there talking with him, and I overheard the logo talking to some of his white congressman them. And talking, he went into a colloquial tongue talking about he has a big cry.
Mm-hmm.
And then I passed it and now he makes a touch me. I said, "Oh, that's been over here." You have nothing going on and then by the dark ocean to me. I said, "The logo, why you don't stop lying to the man? Tell him you're not no crucial. Tell him you're that white boy from New Jersey." The logo done red. But you know, the notice is the kind of where I am. I could have been large, if I had decided to become a dominant Democrat. But I couldn't see myself doing that riding on the backs of my people. No, sir. We had a party. They say it died with Cyril King, which it should not have. We tried to revive it several times and fall back. However, I still remain, for all intents and purposes, locally a registered ICMA.
I believe in time it will be revived now.
Yes, I believe so too. Of course, nationally, I'm a Democrat. How can I be a Republican? How? Somebody please tell me how I could be one of them then. No, but this is the kind of thing, and it's good. So I go up and listen to you with more of the readers. But let me tell it before I go.
But I'll tell you though, you know, Mr. Art, from what I'm reading here, I could see that Atley was a very clever fellow, man. He was a brilliant politician, you know. I don't necessarily agree with all that he did, but it was brilliant. And not only that, but I also get a sense that I don't think he had envisioned what's going on with the party today. I don't think that's what he had really envisioned. He was more about, I guess, he seemed to be more about, solidifying power in the party, but not to the extent to where the present members of the party have taken it. You know, with the corruption and mismanagement that's going on. Somehow I could be wrong, but because I never knew the man, even though he was alive while I was growing up and everything. But I don't believe, I get the feeling that he didn't really envision this kind of thing was happening today, even though he was trying to, consolidate power for the party and his group there in St. Thomas. But I don't think he actually envisioned this kind of thing was going on today, with the party.
No, but you see, the thing is this. Dolby was a get-it-done person. He never liked the limelight per se.
Obviously, yes. Obviously, that's it.
I remember the Board of Elections back in the 80s, and we were counting ballots upstairs in Fort Christian, overlooking there by the legislature. And I saw him coming down about 6 o'clock in the morning. Took up the election the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And he going to say, "Hello, sir, my homie. I knew you're going to go up." He said, "I still coming in the ballot." I said, "Yeah." And he was the person I have work to do. This doesn't mean it's no holiday and I go sit back and listen to votes come. Then I go ahead and results later. I got work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And in speaking with him after he got down, he done really, really down. issue and to do and this and that he wanted a mass of houses to be built. That's what Wang Louis wanted. And he only all could do it. So we tried, and because of that, and I been in housing at the time as assistant and acting commissioner. We I got with my good friend Alvin Bock, God rest him, and Roy Kanta, and we put together a package for federal funding to build 5,000 units of housing, 2,005 in each district, and to move into a realm of upward mobility from renters to owners. But the Democrats slap it down. And even though the Democrats party told me it was a brilliant idea, but you say, them boys, it's going to be a democratic thing. The democratic thing is the best for the people, is the best for the people. So they knock it down, and that was the end of that. And was even got a $10 million wow program with ownership wealth. And all of that is knocked down just because it was me and ICM bringing it. And I'm sorry for the people who didn't get on. We would not have been in this quagmire today. We still might have had a holding journey. But not to wit. We had, when I was got into housing, we had $3,000, $4,000, 4,000 housing shortage. We have 4,000 people on the waiting list. We able to do some things, rehab, there are a few, and when I left with that 3,000, I understand now it's about 6,000 waiting list. So I don't know. I don't know. We got to understand what we're doing should be for the people, the benefit of the people, not one person. I don't want my name for the housing project. I don't want it. Don't put it there. Just do what is right by the people. That's it.
Yeah, man. And I have to say, your books have arrived. Okay?
Good. Okay. Got both of my brother.
Yeah, man.
If you don't catch you, you'll need the money at the station.
Okay, all right. Good enough. Yes.
Yeah. Good, good. Thank you.
All right, man. You're welcome. Okay.
Right.
Yes, and let me continue. It says, concluding that the Unity Party, through a fraudulent, collusive, and conspiratorial scheme, took over the Democratic Party, Judge Gordon enjoined the Unicrats from continuing as members of the Territorial Committee and ordered Supervisor of Elections Henrietta Tadman to certify the Donkeycrat nominees as the only valid Territorial Committee of the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. The Unicrats promptly appealed to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals in Philadelphia, which reversed Judge Gordon's decision on the ground that there was a lack of conclusive evidence that the Unicrats committed fraud and deceit in achieving control of the Democratic Party. Darwin Pikey hailed the Unicrat triumph as the most momentous judicial decision affecting the political future of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Finally, in complete control of the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands, Unicrats proceeded to win as Democratic Party candidates 6 of the 11 seats of the legislature in the 1964 election, relegating the remaining 5 seats to Donkeycrats, who had to run as independents now that the Democratic Party label was denied them. Unicrats nevertheless feared that the Donkeycrats would once again form a coalition with the Republican Party as they did in the late 1950s to run in the general election of 1966. Accordingly, the Unicrat-controlled legislature amended the election code to stop this coalition. First, the legislature legislated the Republican Party out of existence by requiring that no political party shall be recognized, any at-large candidate of which had not polled at least 5% of the total votes cast in the last preceding election. I tell you. Since no Republican at-large candidate had received 5% of the ballots cast in the 1964 election, Republican Party candidates would not appear on the ballot for the 1966 election. Fortunately for Republicans, however, pressure from Washington allegedly induced the legislature to once again amend the election code to legally recognize the officially recognized political party affiliate in the Virgin Islands of either of the two major national parties. Next, to prevent Democrats from running in the 1966 general election, Governor Paiwanski submitted a bill which the legislature approved on August 13, 1966, further amending the election code, this time to implement party symbol voting and to require voting for all primary candidates on an at-large basis, which would have given the well-disciplined Paiwanski-Attlee majority all the seats of the legislature. 2 weeks later, however, Congress in effect repealed this short-lived measure by amending the 1954 Revised Organic Act to increase the number of legislative seats from 11 to 15, effective for the upcoming general election of 1966, and designating 5 senators from St. Croix, 5 from St. Thomas, 1 from St. John, and 4 at large. So this is how the Revised Organic Act was amended to reflect how the islands will be run, how the legislature would be set up. And so it was set up so that you would have 5 senators from St. Croix, 5 senators from St. Thomas, 1 from St. John, and 4 at large. Do we have that today? No, we don't. Undaunted by setbacks, the Unicrats meanwhile enacted by a 6-5 vote in the legislature a loyalty oath requiring every person who sought to be a candidate of a political party for public office in the 1966 primary election to sign an oath of allegiance to that political party as follows. And a piece of that oath is listed here in the book, and it says, I do solemnly pledge that I will espouse and pursue the principles and policies of the blank party of the Virgin Islands, and that I will support every candidate of the blank party who is nominated for public office at the 1966 primary election, and I will not support any candidate or any other political party or body or any independent candidate for public office at the 1966 general election. Refusal to sign the oath barred appearance of a person's name on the primary election ballot. Republican Party officers immediately challenged the loyalty oath's legality in the local U.S. District Court, where 2 Unicrat senators admitted that the purpose of the loyalty oath was to frustrate and interfere with any coalition between Democrats and Republicans in the forthcoming 1966 general election. What is this? Actually, they admitted, oh my God. The nomination petition of the Territorial Committee of the Republican Party nominating 15 candidates had been filed with the Supervisor of Elections, who refused to accept the petition without the prescribed party loyalty oath. Judge Walter Garden for the district court ordered the supervisor to accept the petition. Imagine. The supervisor of election refused to accept the petition from the Republican Party and anybody else who did not have the oath, didn't, sign this loyalty oath. Wow. Judge Walter Garden for the district court ordered the supervisor to accept the petition. Since no other nomination petitions for Republican candidates were filed, he reasoned the 15 petitioners became the Republican nominees without the need for holding a Republican primary election. There was no necessity for determining the legality of the loyalty oath. Therefore, because it was applicable only for candidates in primary elections. On appeal, speaking for the Circuit Court of Appeals, Judge Maris agreed, although he too did not pass on the oath's legality, there was no question what he thought of it. The oath might be regarded as a political test in violation of the Revised Organic Act, Maris observed. Here, the pledge to pursue indefinitely the principles and policies of a political party, presumably those principles and policies announced from time to time by the party organization, would tend to bind the legislators to the party leaders without individual freedom of thought or independence of action, tied up and delivered like bunches of beets. This is what happens in totalitarian countries where legislators vote like automatons as their party leaders tell them to. But it is not the practice in free America where our democratic heritage can best be preserved if legislators are free to employ in the discharge of their duties their own individual views and judgment in the light of their own personal responsibility as representatives of the community, of the whole community. Meanwhile, a purportedly disgruntled Republican challenged the legality of the same petition because the 15 candidates endorsed by the Republican Territorial Committee included so-called donkeycrats, thereby permitting alleged Democrats to seek election under the aegis of the Republican Party. Both district and circuit courts held, however, that the challenge was made too late. Accordingly, all means to keep the donkeycrats off the ballot in 1966 failed. The ballot itself depicted a veritable political zoology that became the wonder and despair of visiting congressmen. Departing rather sharply from the nonpartisan role of previous governors in past elections, Governor Paiwanski campaigned vigorously for the Attlee-supported Unicrats against the Republican Donkeycrat coalition. The result was another victory for the Paiwanski-Attlee ticket, with Unicrats appearing on the ballot as Democrats. With Unicrats winning 9 seats of the newly expanded legislature of 15 members, including all 4 at-large seats and the 5 St. Thomas seats. The coalition candidates, all of them donkeycrats, appearing on the ballot as Victory 66 candidates, won the 5 St. Croix seats and the single St. John seat. Let me just put, just as a sidebar, I'm going to just read something here because of the phrase that was used earlier, the ballot itself depicted a veritable political zoology that became the wonder and despair of visiting congressmen. It says here, hearings, election of governor, 1967. Congressman Burton of Utah observed, I have never seen such a fouled up ballot in my life as this one used in the November 8, 1966 election down there. To look at this ballot, I wouldn't know who I was voting for if I didn't know the people involved. Hey, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. You know. Oh boy. At the congressional hearings of 1967, allegations of a number of unlawful and unfair practices on the part of Unicrats were put forward, including dismissal of key government employees who remained loyal to the Donkeycrat faction, transfer of certain positions from classified to unclassified status to deny dismissed career employees the right to appeal, creation of many new unclassified positions to reward Unicrat supporters, intimidation of career employees with threats of dismissal and denial of salary increases and promotions of those who failed to subscribe to Unicrat policies, threats of government reprisals against employees of firms enjoying benefits of the tax incentive program, illegal threats and pressure against residents of public housing projects, and failure to give equal rights, staff, and other support to Donkeycrat legislators. Oh, son. Boy, I tell you, it's politics, boy. Randy Lugo, Donkeycrat chairman, and himself a defeated at-large candidate in the 1966 election, charged before a congressional subcommittee that the election was rigged and many voting irregularities occurred, especially on St. Croix. He claimed that an army of unclassified political appointees campaigned at the taxpayers' expense in violation of the Hatch Act. Curiously, Governor Paiwanski not only acknowledged violation of the Hatch Act, but he admitted that 25 of the 26 members of his 1966 election campaign committee were government employees. He explained, however, that this issue had never been raised before, and in all previous elections, every local government employee took a most active part in the campaigning and in the electioneering for positions for the legislature. With regard to Senator Attlee, De Lugo claimed, at the present time, the real political power in these Virgin Islands resides in one man's hands and one man's only, and that is Senator Earl B. Attlee, the president of the legislature. He chooses who shall be the supervisor of election. He decides who shall be the members of the board of elections. He decides who shall be the election officials on election day. I could go on and on. Attlee's failure to testify before the congressional subcommittee, supposedly because of illness, was greatly resented by some congressmen. Paiwanski's testimony sought to tag a sour grapes label on Donkeycrats as poor losers in an orderly and honest election. It has been the consistent strategy of the so-called independent Donkey Democrats to deny the existence of the duly recognized Democratic Party. Essentially, it is the die-hard notion of the Donkey Group that at some point in time they preempted in perpetuity the philosophy, platforms, name, and all other rights appertinent to the Democratic Party, and no amount of popular votes to the contrary can ever change that fact. Still not satisfied, Unicrats devised a 1967 reapportionment scheme to add another senator to their majority by proposing that one senator represent both St. John and the east end of St. Thomas in place of the senator exclusively representing St. John. The Committee to Save St. John's Representation in the Virgin Islands Legislature strenuously objected. While the stateside problem is to prevent a minority from usurping the rights of a majority, the Virgin Islands problem is to prevent a majority from eliminating the minority. St. John retained its seat in absence of a court ruling that the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution required the one man, one vote principle be followed. In the territories as well as in the states, the Virgin Islands legislature was unlikely to take away the Senate seat that Congress had given St. John. Well, I mean, hey, this is like, wow. This will call for another reading, son, because let me tell you something. This thing here, this, hey, and that is why I can never ever be a part of this Democratic Party, the local Democratic Party I'm speaking of now, the Virgin Islands Democratic Party. I could never find myself to be a part of this kind of craziness or all this skullduggery, all this dishonesty, all this fraudulent maneuverings, and all of this deceit and dishonesty. And that it still continues today. Still continues today. I have seen, just as Mr. Nibs mentioned, I have seen within modern times, without calling names, I have seen without modern times where Democratic senators have fight down measures that would benefit St. Croix, that would benefit the entire Virgin Islands, because these measures were not sponsored by a Democratic senator. It was either sponsored by someone who was an independent or someone who was an ICMer. I have seen it in my lifetime. I've seen it just happen in the 1990s, as recently as the 1990s. I can remember in the legislature there were two senators from Frederiksted, one a Democrat and one an ICMer. And when the ICMer sponsored certain legislation and certain measures that would help, that would be beneficial, the Democratic senators joined with other Democratic senators to fight it down, simply because it was something that was not sponsored by the Democratic Party. And so they fought it down. I cannot be a part of those kind of things, Mr. Anyway, we have somebody on the phone line, so let's go straight to the phone line. Yes, good morning. Oh, not here. Okay. All right. Well, caller, you can always call back. But let me tell you, man, I have seen this thing happen. You know, I've seen it happen. They tend to hold one head. And even in these modern times, I've heard senators say they're going there to work with everybody. And that is foolishness. That is foolishness. You can't go there to work with everybody unless it's going to be something beneficial for the people. Good morning, caller, and welcome.
If I hear listening to you, and what we used to call it back then was hard politics.
Yes, I'm son. Well, I call it skullduggery.
But, you know, the thing is, a lot of people, some people maybe, have failed to realize and understand that the ICM party, the Independent Citizens Movement Party, was and is an outgrowth of the Democratic Party.
Yes.
It was a group of decedent Democrats.
Yes.
It comes with the foolishness and breakaway.
Right.
Mario Mohed, Mother, Cyril King, Juan Louis, Arthur Shelter, and others.
Yep.
And then young guns like me came along with them because I couldn't consider the foolishness they were dealing with.
Well, I've made it my business to never to vote for local Democrats. I don't care how good you may be, I ain't voting for none because I have seen, Mr. Mims, I have seen where people run under the Democratic Party banner and supposed to be conscious, they're supposed to be aware, supposed to be intelligent, supposed to be independent minded, and yet still they turn around and side with the democratic machine that's in there, that's in power. You know,
the same machine they were fighting before.
Yes.
But you see, and that's an awkward thing. I'm glad that you raised that because they only you that I think that is right now why Carol Burke and some committee that she's on there, you know, she's a Democratic National Committee woman, I believe, is sort of vetting the people who coming up because a lot of people going and running on the Democratic Party banner just to get elected.
Yes, of course, they've been doing that for years too.
Yes, they're doing that because the Democrat has the number.
Right, right.
So it's like he's trying to put that fork in the wheel.
So, listen, I can't go along with that type of logic though. I know quite a few who have done that, like you said, just to get a vote because they know that traditionally the majority of voters here in the Netherlands are registered as Democrats.
Yeah.
And you know what is shameful and really hurtful is that because I could remember from my time growing up in the early '60s that a lot of people registered as Democrats or became members of the Democratic Party simply to get a job.
Right.
It was all about to get a job, get a house, get an apartment in the projects, all these kind of things. And so a lot of the older folks see the Democratic Party, the local Democratic Party, as a kind of a savior, as an entity that helped them. And so now they feel they owe allegiance to the party because that was the party that helped me get a job or helped me keep my job, or helped me get an apartment or something, help me get a house or help me get an apartment in projects or something. And so people, blind patriotism, blind loyalty and blind patriotism, and that's what
you're right. But you see, that is why they continue to work in a skullduggery fashion, like I mentioned before.
Yeah.
When I turned 18 and went to register, one of the members of the board then, which was illegal for her to do, he was supposed to tell me what parties are available. Democrats, Republicans, ICM, and independent as an independent. Not to tell me, share your names. All the other names them is registered them, but I got to be registered them.
Yeah. Back then that's what they did. People did that. You, as a new voter, you go in, especially if you're young, they try to sway you. They try to sway you over to until you register as a Democrat. You know.
They were paying in there.
Yeah. Yes, man. I
kicked that down. I said, I know that. I got Daryl Kingman. I said, I'm from the job. I got Daryl Kingman. So, but see, let me say something quickly and go. A lot of people continue to ask. Got to tell me, hey, you are talking about the outrage. That's what you got to listen to me. Read the outrage was. And well, how come you never become governor? And I just was
well, obviously he didn't want that. He preferred to stay in the back. He preferred to stay in the background. That's obvious.
Yes, I mean, you know, if a lot of them don't know, you're gonna play like they don't know. I don't lay back in my chair and tell them what he just said. Why he didn't become governor? But the guy was governor already. Why he was the governor? But who was the governor?
He had the power. He already had the power. Yeah.
Who had the power? Even with Copemann to build the home in Putu. Why was he get to the people from Copemann and the fishman and all them people? Because why let them know the fishman there? Because they are you. But this all we have to lead a charge.
Yes.
To get us to build these places.
Yeah.
The same thing, right? I'm sure now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but hey, nothing happens before it's time. Everybody, in some way, is a savior for the next generation. And if we could look at it that way and stop looking for, I did this and you beat it your chest and I did that. You know, all went away without beating his chest. He didn't have to. You know, it is there in the records, in the annals of history.
Well, you know, obviously.
Why name been called today again?
Oh.
Select.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Yeah, I gave my number out. I'm sure he took it, but I'll tell you what has happened to me. I just receive at least 75 or 100 calls a day, mostly from Michigan and from Florida. But they're scam calls. People want to sell me something, and I mean, all kind of crazy stupidness, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I see a lot of calls come, unless I recognize the number, I don't answer it.
Right. Okay.
So if you listen, silly, if you call me, you just leave a message. Say, well, this is silly, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, Pikey, I go down with it for now. You got those things.
Yes, man. All right. Thank you, and all the best to you too, man.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes, folks, my son. This is the political season has begun, and and I have to say, I'm going to repeat something that someone said to me because it seems to be so true. And you know, the person mentioned to me that we really, and it's more than one person actually mentioned the same thing to me, and they said that they don't feel that we have good choices. We don't have we don't have really good choices this political cycle around, because you have the same people who have been there all along now running for either re-election or running for another office. You know, people who've been in the Senate couldn't get things done, didn't support certain things. Now they're running for governor. You know, they're running to be governor. Some people are running to be senator. New people, a whole bunch of new people are running to get into the legislature. But and some of these people, their character is highly dubious. I mean, the character is questionable for many of these people. And for those who are seeking re-election, not only is the character questionable, but what have they done for the previous 2 years that they've been there in opposition? That is highly questionable also, because there are people that have been there for the 2 years and haven't really achieved anything, haven't done anything. Some people, I don't know why, some people just want to walk with the crowd and go wherever the breeze blow. They're going to bend wherever the breeze blow them. And then you have those who just want to be a one-man show. But, you know, in the legislature, you can't be a one-man show, you know, unless you're going to have all 14 people behind you, or at least a majority are going to be supporting you. Then that's a different situation there, because then it's no longer a one-man show. If you got 14 other people, or at least a majority of people supporting your ideas, supporting your measures, supporting whatever you put forth, then it's not a one-man show, it's a group show. It has to be a group thing. That's how this political system is set up. The majority rules. It's done on a majority rule basis. You know, everybody wants to be a one-man show, like James Brown, you know, dominate the show. And they refuse to try to build alliances or coalitions. I mean, like, for example, all those people who are independents. I remember the time when you would have the local legislature would be divided into a majority and a minority. You would have a group of majority senators, and then you would have a group of minority senators. You don't see that anymore. You continue to see it basically it's still there among the majority senators. There's a little semblance of a coalition, of a minority, or of an alliance. But among the minority senators, everybody seems to be on their own. They don't seem to join forces. I don't understand it. Nobody wants to join forces. Everybody just wants to act on their own, and that's why you don't get things done. You're not going to get anything done when you just want to act on your own and be your own man. But you have to form alliances with people, like-minded people. I'm not saying that you're supposed to form alliances with people who have a different position or different perspective to you. No, you look for those people that have the same perspective, where you can join with them. You fight, you believe in the same thing, And then, as you know, as Mario have been saying lately, everybody wants to solve now because it sounds good politically to say you want to solve. So nobody wants to be a leader. Nobody wants to be a leader no more. I guess because maybe he call them misleaders too much. So nobody wants to be called a misleader. So now they want to solve us. They want to solve us. But then when they get elected, it's no longer about solving. They're not solving us. They solve the party. They solve politics. They solve wherever the money coming from. Look at the Virgin Islands have been displaced. Slowly becoming like another Hawaii. And that is what our leaders are encouraging. They're not trying to stop this type of thing. We, the Virgin Islanders, should be in power. We should be the beneficiaries of all that is good in the Virgin Islands. And others come after, but they don't stay away. They open up the place to everybody. And so the Virgin Islanders are getting stifled in the mad rush. And slowly, we continue to do our jobs. Nobody seems to concern money they can put in the pockets or in the bank account, or the power that they can gain from being in certain positions. While the Virgin Islands slowly goes over not even slowly, but speedily goes over the cliff. Like a bus out of control, a bus without a driver, going straight headlong over the cliff. That's where we're going. For those of you old enough and can remember, think back on the Virgin Islands in the 1960s and 1970s, and then look at the Virgin Islands today and tell me, are we in a better place? Are we in a better place today than we were in the 1970s? I don't think so. The services were better. The corruption was still at a minimum. We had hospitals, we had good roads, we had a lot of good things. Those things are no longer here in the Virgin Islands. I see roads that have been, with potholes now for going on 2 years and can't get fixed. I don't know. Well, I shouldn't say that I don't know, because I feel to myself that we're going down the drain. That's what I know. We're going down the drain. Will it end? Will it ever change? I don't know. Because again, like most people are saying, we don't have any good choices. We don't have any good political choices. The people who are running for these elected office have shown that they're not up to the job. They're not interested in doing the job. They're interested in accumulating wealth and power for themselves. Let's go to the phone lines. Yes, good morning, Carla, and welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Copemann. How are you doing?
Hey, good morning, brother R. How are you doing, man?
Hi, good, man. I good, man.
Okay,
I was listening to you.
Good to hear from you, man.
The same here. I was good to reason with you, too. The Virgin Islands flipping away from people at the Virgin Islands. Its rightful owner.
Mm-hmm.
Because we failed as a people to adapt the fifth constitution of the Virgin Islands.
I will second that emotion.
It was designed for the people,
Mm-hmm.
by the people. The individuals that created it,
Mm-hmm.
brilliant.
Yes.
Every one of them should be applauded because it is one of the best constitutions ever written by any human being. That's how I feel. Because it protected me and my children and our children them.
Yes, and I agree, and especially as I said last time I was on here, I said I think the way how the Constitution, the fifth Constitution, was written, it was written to help nurture the people also, nurture and guide the people,
and to build generational wealth forever. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the Revised Organic Act has failed to do. That was given to us by the slave man, the people who didn't like us. Give us some kind of, I call it a piece of toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
And you know we don't know what toilet paper, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. So that we have been governed by that for years, and look at the place 2026.
Mm-hmm.
2026.
Yes.
And we still balling?
Mm-hmm. Because we
pick
always
up
allow ourselves to be bamboozled.
Pick up what was designed by you for you.
Yes.
And see how that works.
Mm-hmm.
You're waiting for Captain America and Superman to come and save you? Mm-hmm. Ain't gonna work.
And you will notice that the sixth, so-called sixth convention, which is illegal to begin with, unlawful and illegal, which to begin with, they have begun to slowly and in a kind of little kind of sidewindish way start to pick up on some of some certain things from the fifth.
Well, another reason why the place of Virgin Islands can't get no rain now, too. Ain't gonna blow the damn Sahara Desert. Is the ungodliness and the filth that we practicing. And one of them was one that the Creator is an abomination unto the Creator. And the fifth Constitution clearly states marriage is between a man and a woman. Wheel bend and story end in hard bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
You have a wonderful day, sir.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. Yes, all right. Yes, my son. Hey, brother R, my son. We always glad to hear from you, man. Always right on time, my son. Always right on time with that political message, my son. Yes, the fifth Constitution, my son. I will always uphold and defend our fifth Constitution. That is our document, my son. That is our document. And we will notice what's happening with the sixth. They can't get off the ground. And all they're seeming to do is trying to pick and choose and cut and paste, picking this and that from the fifth, from trying to build a sixth by cutting and pasting. But to the bottom line of it all is a subservient attitude. It's a bow down to the colonial master. When are we going to realize that no one man have the right to tell another man that he can't write his own constitution? We don't have to seek or need approval for our own constitution. But let's take a call. A phone line here is busy because we're slowly running out of time. Yes, good morning, caller, and welcome.
Man, Pikey, done coming to my yard. You gonna go put that brother.
Well,
I gotta go start putting constitution.
Well,
are you done now? Are you done now? I put a nail in the castle and a six.
Yes, man. Well, we know your position. We don't question that. We know your position. We don't question. We don't worry about. I don't worry about that. Mr. Names. You don't hear me calling your name too much with that because we don't worry about that. We know your position, man.
Exactly. You see, but I believe others know it. And now, when the pick will see to be the head of this body of the sect, I say, I don't know if they know who see the fifth guy from Fifth University and a student in history. I don't like I know he. But I would tell you, I'm going to take that 6 and drag over this. Of course, the 5th going to be the dominancy in that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I will close again by saying there'll be no 666, no 666. Devil Constitution. I know that one boss found as Peterson, Baba.
All right. All right, man.
Okay.
Okay. Good morning, Carla, and welcome.
7-3. What's up?
Hey, not bad, man. How you doing?
Okay. Stay here listening to you. You said a few things that are really true. I have to agree with you. The choices are not good at all.
That's true. Yes. We don't have to good choices at all, son. And I guess that's because some of the imagine people who really want to do well just don't want to get involved for whatever reason they choose not to get involved. Just like the young voters don't want to vote. I was trying to tell a friend of mine yesterday, a younger fellow. I said, well, he was complaining about what was happening and what's going on. I said, well, that's the reason why we need to vote. He was complaining actually about certain candidates being elected, and he was against. He saying that he don't think certain people should be elected. I said, well, that's why you need to vote for somebody else so that they don't get elected. But hey, that's where we at right now, my son. That's where we at right now.
Well, you said something about where we at compared to where we were.
Mm-hmm.
And in today's world, everything is moving in a forward motion. And we seem to be, not even at a standstill, but we seem to be
moving backwards.
Regress.
Yeah.
We seem to be regressing. And when you say that, a lot of people get mad, but, you and I got basically the same time frame, and you could compare what we have compared to what we have.
Mm-hmm.
And that is going backward. That's not forward at all.
Mm-hmm.
And the sad thing about it is the people that's running, most of them don't have a clue. They're using the same playbook that was used 20 years ago. They just change a few words, a few sentences.
Right.
Put a comma here, a period here, a question mark there. The same thing. So, personally, it makes no difference who wins because it's the same playbook, just different players.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the sad thing about
it. That's the sad thing, son. That's the sad thing. That's the sad thing.
Well, I still hear that all the time, so I guess
yes, man. Yes, we're up at the top of the hour right now, son. And I wish when I heard you, I didn't say it before, but I'm going to say it now. I wish I'd call me earlier, man, so we could get some more time to chat, man. Because it's always a pleasure, man. It's always nice chatting with you,
Well, it's not easy getting into you, It's very difficult getting to you.
But we're not. Well, I don't think so. Because we're not. You see, we're not on air. We streaming because of some transmitter problems. So I would imagine. Well, we had Mr. Nibs call. He called about 3 times, but today was relatively open. You could have gotten in today easily because we didn't have much calls. Actually local calls. Actually, I don't think we had. The one local call we had, I think, was Brother R a little while ago. Mr. Nibs calling from the States. But so maybe try next week, man. Hopefully the Creator give me life and strength. I'll be here next week.
One last question. One last question. We spoke about it before, and I seem to be leaning with you based on what we knew, what is available out there. Is that the person who would be successful in the August upcoming election, he or she is going to be the governor. We agree on that, right?
That the person who is successful in the primary,
yes, is going to end up
being the governor. More than likely, yes, more than likely. Unfortunately, unfortunately.
Unless there's some major or negative event.
Right.
Okay, so can we talk next week? That's fair.
Yes, man. All right, good, man. Always a pleasure talking with you, man.
All right.
And folks, we just a little bit past the hour, and I believe Brother Ross Christopher will probably be doing his thing. He wouldn't be coming into the station, but he would probably be doing his show by streaming. He's probably going to be doing it on the computer. I'm not sure because I haven't heard anything from him this morning, but I'm sure he would be streaming live also. But folks, hopefully we could be back on air with the full broadcast for next week because I would really want to read this that section again on the donkey crats and the unicrats and that political skullduggery and the shenanigans that they had going on in the 1960s there, my son, between the team of Paiwanski and Atley versus the Randy Lugo group out of St. Croix, my son. The Mango Jones group. And hey, son, I tell you, this thing, when you really you could make a movie out of this thing, man. You could write a book, you could make a movie. Well, books have been written already, so I guess you could make a movie out of this thing. Or you could even do a play. You could do a masquerade jig out of this whole thing, my son. Show the puppy show that we got wrong here, going on wrong here for politics, my son. I guess they could do a masquerade jig, complete with costumes, dancing, oratory, and speeches and songs and music, my son. The whole complete works could be done. Folks, I just want to say, just hit up those people online. I see Miss Brenda Rogers Booker. It's always a pleasure to hear from you, and very appreciative of your listening into the show. And I've been a faithful listener for some years now, Miss Rogers, and it's always a pleasure to hear from you. Always good to look up at the screen and see your name there. And hey, hopefully one day we will be able to meet. But yes, man, all those people who didn't get a chance to chime in, we say good morning to you, and we want to wish everybody a happy and safe week and weekend until we meet here next Friday for some more Around the Table. Good morning.
The law. Stand up for decency. Stand up for